Hey everyone, you are listening to Nerdspresso, and we are here with episode 2. And I just want to take a second and thank you all for supporting us, and for everyone who listened to episode 1. If you shared it out, you're my hero. Thank you for helping show this podcast some love. It seems we had some really great feedback from Brianna's episode, so I'm glad you all loved it. And I just want to thank you. So if you're enjoying this, make sure you like, follow, subscribe, download, do all of the things that you can do to help support us, because we really appreciate it. So today we are sitting down with Cat Barson, who runs a nerdy food blog called the Gluttonous Geek. And I am so excited for you guys to hear this episode because it is so different, because she talks about where she pulls inspiration for her recipes from, and the amount of historical research that Kat puts into her recipes is insane. And so we talk a lot about that, and we drink some yummy Dryad Tea. We talk about their wizard party and all sorts of other fun nerdy stuff. So I'm not going to spoil it for you, so go grab your cup of coffee or tea and sit back, relax, and enjoy the episode. This episode is sponsored by Dryad Tea. Dryad Tea was created February 2012 by a tea aficionado who also loves music. The first line of teas was created based on Pandora Celtica's music, characters, and world. Since then, they have created amazing tea blends inspired by music, mythology, literature, and just general geekery. In 2013, they added Dryad pottery, and Ruby has been creating amazing works of ceramic art to pair with the blends of Dryad Tea. You can join their Tea of the Month Club, get a custom tea blend made, or you can shop the Goblin Market for tea infusers, enamel pins, and music. So head over to dryadtea.com and use code NERDSPRESSO, that's NERDSPRESSO, for 10% off your order today. All right, so we are getting started. Introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Catherine Barson. I run the nerdy food blog, The Gluttonous Geek, where I combine food and fiction, kind of as a literary analysis, but through recipes and book reviews and that sort of thing.
Which is amazing.
Thank you.
I have had one of your things. What was... We met in person. We run in the same circles.
Okay.
But the first time I met you, for real, was the Dad's Garage event.
Oh, right, yes. When they were doing the
LobbyCon.
LobbyCon.
Or what?
Yes. Yeah, Chelsea asked me to do that.
Yes.
I brought 3 different recipes, one kind of a Cheeto sausage ball for...
Was that what I had?
Probably.
Whatever I had there was amazing.
Also, the most recent one, I think I had Bulbasaur bites that had like a sesame. Yeah, it had like sesame sautéed greens and like little pearl onions with soy sauce and all that.
I think it was the Cheeto thing that I had.
Cheeto sausage balls.
Yes, which were phenomenal. I think I ate at least 3.
Yeah.
So that other people could eat them too.
Well, it was funny because I came down after the show. I came down during
intermission.
And thinking, oh, well, they'll just watch my stuff like they did last time. But no, all the food
was just gone.
Just gone.
Yeah.
All of it.
But that's good. Yeah. That everyone ate everything.
Oh, yeah. So, and people took my card, and I hopefully got some new fans out of it.
So. Good. Mm-hmm. So, the Gluttonous Geek. Mm-hmm. You told me you are a English major, as well as a food aficionado, sort of.
Yeah.
So, and just all around geek. Like, I've the first time at your house, and I've heard a lot about this house. Like, your Harry Potter parties are legendary. I've heard all about them. I have yet to come to one. I will make it happen.
It's annual.
It's annual.
Mm-hmm.
I just haven't yet.
Yes, the annual Wizards Wingding, where
Love it.
it was our excuse to have a Hogwarts party, but we also we know that not all of our friends are Harry Potter fans or have Hogwarts gear ready to go. So all wizards are
all wizards.
All wizards are welcome, except for the Grand Wizard of the KKK because he's racist.
This is true.
Yes.
Yes. But all other wizards.
Yes.
Are totally fine.
Well, I mean, I consider Jedi space wizards.
This is true.
And I mean, I had a friend show up as Mary Poppins last year, so...
Mary Poppins is a Time Lord wizard.
Time wizard. Yes. I mean, it's just basically how you decide to interpret it as long as it's not overtly offensive.
Right.
And the main dress code is still clothes.
Right.
Please wear clothes. Because I've been to conventions.
That's all we require.
I've been to conventions. I know how it is.
Just wear clothes, please.
Yes.
So, be comfortable, but wear clothes.
It's like, I live in a quiet family neighborhood.
Right.
I'd rather not have my crotchety next-door neighbor calling the cops on me.
We're not hosting Dragon Con at the house.
No.
Please dress appropriately.
Yes.
For the wizard party.
But yeah, I mean, it was an excuse to do a lot of Hogwarts-themed recipes. Initially, we started doing it about, I want to say 3 years ago.
Yeah. So, since I have not been to the wizard party, what kind of wizard recipes are involved?
Okay, well, the first year I did 4 different recipes based off of the Hogwarts founders.
Ooh.
Using tea and absinthe house teas and all that. So I was trying to make little appetizers based off of the areas where the Hogwarts founders were from.
Ooh, okay.
So we have, for example, Godric Gryffindor from kind of the, I want to say Midwestern England, and there's a lot of cattle as well as blue cheese and other various agricultural products down there. So I tried to do a kind of beef and apple pasty, which is...
Ooh. That sounds really good.
It is. It really was. Using the tea that had red currants in it.
Okay.
And kind of caramelizing the apples with it.
Caramelized apples are so good.
And with also some blue cheese mixed into it. And I had these little kind of Welsh-style cauldron cakes for Helga Hufflepuff. So she's...
Love.
There's this kind of dessert, a fruit bread called Butterbeer.
Ooh, yeah.
So I kind of made little miniature versions of that with icing using this spiced tea, and it was so good. But Hogwarts stuff aside, the following year I decided to branch out a little bit and did stuff from Hello from the Magic Tavern, like all
right,
Usador's salsa of light and shadow.
Nice.
Which is, it's funny because I talked to Matt Young at Gen Con this year.
Matt Young.
Oh, and it was hilarious when I met him because it was past 1, I want to say, on Saturday night, Sunday morning.
Wait, okay. Hold on. Were you at Gen Con this past year?
Yeah, I was.
How did I not run into you, at all?
Because I don't think we actually officially had met by that point.
I don't think, we hadn't. But, we have mutual friends, and none of them told me to look for you. Which is upsetting to all of our mutual friends who knew that both of us were at Gen Con.
To be
Shame
fair,
on you.
I did go to the meetup. I did go to the, the streamer meetup over at that bar, and I believe that most of D4 people were there.
I would have been there, because... Obviously.
I think I was just kind of hanging out with Stiver most of the time.
Stiver was there. I saw Stiver. How did I not interact with you? I probably did interact with you.
Probably just a little bit. I mean, honestly, I'm running all over the place because I also had...
And, Dustin, so you would have...
Well, the funny thing with Dustin, it's Dustin and I used to work at Netherworld together. That's how we met,
Then you know Devin, too.
Yeah?
Yeah. So, I said, same circles.
Oh, no, those two...
multiple.
those two used to take care of me when I used to work at Netherworld because I was the Stone Angel on the actor lift.
Oh, yeah.
That was in the year I started doing that. The Doctor Who episode with the Don't Blink episode came out.
The Weeping Angels.
And I had done what's it called, art modeling before that.
Okay.
So I knew how to hold very still and make
For
it
very
look like
long amounts of time.
and also make it not look like I was breathing, because I also had the choir robe on all over that.
Nice.
So yeah, no one could tell I was real half the time. It was
That's
great.
amazing.
But yeah, a lot of times they would be leads and come in and check on me.
They are very good at that. Those two boys they take care of their people.
Well, I think they were also I think Devin was a stunt lead at that point, and I think Dustin at least handled a lot of the technical stuff on site.
Okay.
At least,
okay.
If I remember correctly.
Yeah. Dustin hasn't worked at Netherworld in a hot second. He was already done working at Netherworld by the time we started dating.
Yeah, I think my last year was, goodness, I want to say 2010.
Oh yeah, that's way before me.
Yeah, I want to say my last year working there was 2010.
That's way before me.
Either that,
way before I even lived here in Atlanta.
2010 at the latest, or probably I want to say even 2009.
Yeah.
No, 2010. Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been a hot minute, so it's still kind of funny that I'm still knowing these people and hanging out with them and all that.
Right. And for those of you who don't know, Netherworld is one of the greatest haunted houses in the country.
Yes, rated the best haunted house in the country, at least back then it did.
Located in Atlanta, Georgia. So if you're ever in Atlanta, especially around Halloween,
yes,
go check it out because it's top notch. And they have year-round stuff now, like escape rooms.
Oh yeah.
And
don't they have like a paintball course or something, or laser tag or something?
I don't know.
I am so very removed for that, and I just discovered because I
only know these things because of Devin.
I discovered I have the fight response to fight or flight, so I'm like, I'm gonna be courteous to my fellow haunt actors and not punch
anybody in the face.
Yeah, and not risk that happening to
them.
As someone who's been slapped, punched, and kicked and all that, yes, I have done all that. My gosh, can't believe how long ago that was. But yeah,
back to the wizarding party and the foods and the
foods and stuff. But I was talking to Matt Young at Gen Con.
Yes.
It was I was hanging out with the Zombie Orpheus folks because I've gotten to be friends with them from doing recipes based on their stuff. The bar just closed in the JW Marriott.
Oh, okay.
And we're just waiting as the others, we were going to go up to my hotel room for a party and, help use up all the stuff I had brought because I didn't want to drive that much food back down to Atlanta with me.
Right.
And I'm just standing there, about 5 sheets to the wind already. And I hear, someone pokes my shoulder. It's like, hey, I really like your purse. And I'm wearing a Captain Marvel purse. I'm like, oh, thank you. And I look up, and I'm like, Matt Young?
Matt Young?
And he's like, yeah, I'm going, hi, I met you last year at the show. I was the one who brought you the goodie bag of things and did all those recipes based off of your podcast. He's like, oh yeah, I still use that wooden spoon you gave me. I'm like, that's a really odd thing to point out, but okay.
But inside, just squeak.
But I'm going, do you actually do a lot of cooking at home? He's like, well, yeah, I do, and I really like cooking. I'm like, when you start listing off random recipes on the show, is it stuff you've already made? Well, no. I'm like, because that salsa recipe that you just made up on the fly during that live show tastes perfect the way it is. The spiced potato spices, the way you listed off as Usador on, first time on the show.
Yeah.
I mixed them all together in equal parts, and it tasted perfect.
Oh my gosh.
So, you've got something there, dude.
Yeah, right? Y'all need to do a partner up episode.
Oh God, I wish. I mean, I talked to them on Twitter, but I mean, they're so busy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, maybe next time they're in Atlanta. I mean, I've invited them for dinner, but they are, considering it's the first stop on the tour, they've already said that we're going to be getting dinner that night and talking about the rest of our tour. It's very boring. Thank you for inviting us. Next time we're in town. Okay.
Yes.
Fair enough.
That tour life, though.
Oh, yeah, that tour life. But yeah, also incorporating stuff from, say, Dresden Files, or I made, what was it, chocolate skull, cheese skulls or something.
Oh my gosh.
This past party, and stuff from Ilvermorny, and
so everyone goes home very well fed from your parties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we go absolutely nuts. I mean, this is where we take liquor bottles and then put potion bottle labels on them.
Love.
It's still right on the bottle, like what
Yes.
it is, so they know what it is. But kind of a potions class for the drunk.
I love that.
And my husband's butterbeer recipe is just...
Oh, man.
I still need to put it on the blog. It's
yes. I'm sure everyone would love that.
Well, it's not like the Harry Potter world stuff where they kind of do sort of cream soda based.
Mm-hmm.
We use root beer instead.
Ooh.
And it actually tastes more like a...
Interesting. All right.
Because I usually don't like overly sweet things.
Right. And, my family and I, we got to go to Universal and Wizarding World and stuff like that this past summer. It was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
We got the interactive wands. The kids got the interactive wands. We were casting spells all over the place. It was so much fun. But the hit was we kept going back for the butterbeer.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I like butterscotch flavored things.
Yeah.
But the butterbeer... It can be a little sweet.
Yeah. Well, I know that at least at the Hogshead pub over in Hogsmeade will, kind of, not really announce it, but they have something they like to call better beer. Where,
oh my gosh.
yeah, it's where they'll, mix butterbeer with whatever you choose to have in it. And I believe my roommate had some better beer with, I want to say some fire whiskey.
Oh my gosh.
And it was excellent.
Oh.
That's the thing about butterbeer. It's it's served cold. I know it's Florida, but I kind of want that kind of a hot buttered rum type thing.
Right.
Yeah. Where it's maybe kind of a buttered root beer or something with maybe some butterscotch schnapps in it. I would be down for that.
So sounds like you need to play around with your own butterbeer.
Well, I am about to start trying to make a giggle water recipe from Fantastic Beasts tonight.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
If you're still sticking around, we're going to try to make it. And, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. It's kind of like taking sort of herbal sort of things into account. We're going to be using dill because it's supposed to represent kind of joy and happiness.
Right.
And the funny thing is, I've seen giggle water done before on other food blog sites, but it's usually a take on, I want to say, the French 74. Okay. Which uses gin and champagne.
Got it.
But thing is, gin is it's a downer. It's kind of champagne can also be, it's got the fizziness, but it's still a little...
I love champagne.
It can still be a bit of a downer. But I'm actually going to be doing a take on the bee's knees, which is a mix of honey syrup and gin and lemon, but I'm also going to add make the honey syrup using mead because honey itself is an upper, mead is an upper.
Yes.
So
we just need all of the uppers.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All of them.
We're
talking about food and drinks, guys, not drugs. Don't do drugs. Upper foods.
Upper
drinks.
Yes.
This episode is sponsored by Smuggler's Coffee. Smuggler's believes in drinking local. That's why they find barrels from some of the best breweries in their area. Barrel aging adds the flavors that were trapped in the barrel to the beans without any trace of the alcohol. It's a unique bean that makes an amazing cup of coffee in the morning, or that perfect after-dinner dessert coffee. They have fun and crazy artwork gracing their packaging with themes from D&D, Star Wars, music, and more. Whether you like sugar and cream in your coffee, a little Irish in your mug, or you like to drink it as black as your soul, they've got the perfect cup of coffee for you. Head over to store.smugglerscoffee.com to find your perfect brew of coffee today. This episode is sponsored by Found Familiar Coffee Company. Found Familiar is a company that not only brings you amazing coffee, but believes in supporting creators. They team up with different artists and cosplayers from around the world to bring you specialty-grade coffee that celebrates the creativity sparked by Dungeons & Dragons and other tabletop role-playing games. Found Familiar aims to do more than just provide caffeine for your groggy mornings and late-night sessions. They believe in using their platform to recognize the people that share those same passions, people that create stories, characters, and art. They showcase fantasy artwork and photos on their coffee packaging, and that's why you will never see any of those pieces anywhere without credit to the creators. So go over to foundfamiliar.com and use code NERDSPRESSO, NERDSPRESSO, for 10% off your coffee order today.
I love doing the kind of symbolism and meaning with my various ingredients, but trying to kind of figure out the culture where...
Right. Which is one of the cool things about your stuff is you really take, especially being an English major, I feel like you enjoy the research part of, like, making these recipes and, like, finding, we were talking about this earlier, like, going through the analysis process of, like, the culture and the meaning from back then. Because, again, I told you this earlier, I was terrible at all the analysis stuff in high school when I had to do English. It was horrible. It was the worst time in my life. And I am so happy I never have to do it again. But we were talking about, it's all about the mindset from back then. It's not... But you can also modernize it.
Oh, yeah, and I mean, the thing is, a big thing about food and nerdery, geekdom, whatever the word is, the way I see it is that we geeks, we're obsessed with stories when it comes down to it, and I've always been obsessed with stories. And part of it is escapism. We want to feel like we're a part of that story. And don't get me wrong, it's like I've done costuming, I used to be a cast member at the Renaissance Festival. I play Dungeons and Dragons and everything, and I've even like been doing role playing on AOL chat rooms when I was a kid. And the thing
that was a thing.
And that was the thing. And the thing is, there's always a disconnect. I mean, you can be this character, but underneath it all, you're still like Ted from accounting or something.
Right.
While I mean, you're not really sword fighting and fighting for whatever.
And even if like in your Dungeons and Dragons game, you are just totally immersed in the story and you're there, you gotta get up and get a snack. Or, you know, you're brought back to the fact that you're sitting in someone's kitchen or living room or whatever, like at some point. And
the reason why I really enjoy with food in that particular aspect is that there is no disconnect.
Right.
You are eating that thing that you read about. You're able to share that meal with that character, even though that character isn't there.
Right.
But the fact that you still have this thing that connects the both of you, this physical, literal thing, it helps kind of bridge that disconnect that you find in this escapism that you have in our stories.
That's really cool. I never thought about it like that.
Well, especially with gatherings, too, because it's like, I mean, we have our Harry Potter gathering. Like, sure, everyone can wear a costume, but when everyone's able to make their own potions from bottles that look like potion
it adds
bottles,
a whole nother level of immersion.
Yes, exactly.
So, and for us, like, creative types, like, at heart, like, I'm an actor. Like, and that's one reason why I love Dungeons and Dragons so much, is I love that role-playing aspect of those things. And so... the more immersion that I can get, the better.
Oh, definitely.
So, and, you know, that's why you go to Wizarding World and you get the interactive ones and you go around all the spots and you cast your spells. In quotations.
Because you want to feel like you're a part of the story.
Exactly. And you want to feel like you're in that world and that you are actually a wizard at Hogwarts. Even though none of us got our letters at 11. But it's okay.
Yes.
We can sort ourselves into our houses all we want.
Well, it's such a flexible genre, like franchise to work with that. Like, you can make your own stories up with it. I mean, honestly, I think we're the kings and queens of fan fiction in that respect. But you don't necessarily have to be part of the main story. You just want to feel like you're part of the story, like you're in that world.
Exactly. One of my favorite D&D games that I play is a Knights of the Old Republic era Star Wars.
Nice.
And it's one of the best games I've ever gotten to be a part of. It's run, I don't know if you know him, his name is Patrick Logan.
I know him from D4.
Yes.
I haven't really met him personally. But...
He is a wonderful person, but he is also a mystery of a person.
Okay.
But oh man, can he write a story?
That's cool.
And he can world build. Like,
very cool.
No one's business. Like, you think he's good on D4 as a DM? Like, we have so many side quests, and there's just, like, layers and layers and layers of stuff to do, and consequences and stuff. But this game, we play with a bunch of other Star Wars nerds. Yeah. And they get real into it. They're a lot of our cosplay friends. Yeah. Ned Cox. I don't know if you know Ned and Margie.
No, I don't.
And then we have a couple of others, and this is like a 3-year-long game. It's been broken up into episodes, but we'll play 7-8 hours, and I literally feel like we're on Mandalore fighting stuff, and we're really there fighting the Sith Lords. Like, there's such a level of immersion that is very pleasing to my inner creative, and I love my characters so much, and I'm just like, when can we play Starbolt again? When can we play again? Because this is, like, I don't want this game to end. Yeah. But it is that level of, like, escapism and immersion.
Well, it's collaborative creativity.
It is.
In that respect. And that's why we also love doing our wizard party so much, because my husband is a former theater technician, and it gives him a chance to play around with his 3D printer and decorating the house and building props and everything. I mean, he's made, I want to say, most of our wizard wands in here.
That's amazing. I know we're looking at them right now.
Well, we're looking at 2 of them. There's one, he made up a wizard, Hogwarts shop teacher for,
oh my gosh.
Aloysius Landbohr. Alborland.
I love that.
Oh gosh, I will show you the apron
Home
later.
Improvement is a staple of my childhood.
But he found this flannel robe.
Oh my god, are you kidding me?
At Goodwill that he took out the lining of and turned it to kind of a wizard coverall robe, and he has this large apron that he's put like alchemical sigils all over.
Oh my gosh.
And the wand he made is a hammer that comes
apart. Which we're looking at right now.
And there's a screwdriver inside of it.
No, there's not.
But yeah, it's a hammer that he just took a sander to get all those cool kind of tapered edges.
Amazing.
And see, the one at the bottom, the acrylic handle, he also makes tobacco pipes. Oh. And he was trying to make an acrylic pipe stem. And the drill he was using broke inside.
Oh, no.
Inside of it. So I'm just going, well, it's such a beautiful piece. Maybe you can just make a wand out of it.
Right.
And he totally did.
And it's gorgeous. And like right now, like the sun is like shining across the wand rack holder thing on the wall. And you can see like it's a little translucent. Just a little bit. And
that's the acrylic,
absolutely gorgeous.
But yeah, I mean, my husband and I like to collaborate on a lot of various visual and sort of things. And it's kind of our exercise, our yearly exercise of creativity. I mean, me with the food, him with the decor. And it's kind of a big release of that in a way we can share with our friends. And
that's really cool that that's something that not only is creatives that you can do together, but as husband and wife, like you enjoy, like, this is our creative moment.
Well, I mean, I used to do a Game of Thrones premiere dinner called Thronesgiving.
Oh, I think I've heard of that one too.
It was like six courses based
Oh my gosh.
And I would go nuts, like, and I would try to base it off of the season prior each time. Yeah. And I learned a lot of things, like how to cook for about 14 to 17 people in a short period of time. And also, stainless steel pans that you have in the oven are hot. Do not grab them. Yes. Yeah. But, I mean, when I first started this blog, it was kind of part of it was I was helping my roommate a little bit. She had her nerdy fashion blog.
Yes.
And
the lady nerd.
Yes, the lady nerd. And she was trying to teach herself to cook, so she wanted to do a dinner and a movie segment.
Oh, okay.
So she would find recipes on Pinterest, and I would cook them and she'll take pictures of them. But it was when we did it, Anna and the King dinner movie, where I was trying to do sort of Thai takes on English traditional recipes.
Okay.
So a Thai cottage pie with ground chicken and peanut sauce with sweet potato crust.
Oh my gosh.
What else?
My mouth is watering just listening to this.
But yeah, I'm just going, there's a lot. I've kind of explained that my whole symbolism behind this, going, I should probably do this. I should probably give this a try. And I mean, that was back in, I want to say 2015.
I was about to say, I didn't realize that the Gluttonous Geek blog was that recent. I thought this is something that you've been doing for, granted, 2000, that's 4 years, almost 5.
Yeah, almost 5 years. May in 2015 was when I started the blog.
And so I didn't realize that it's that recent.
Real? Oh, okay. Because it feels like it's been a long time for me, but no, I
don't know, for me, I thought it, you've been doing this for just...
Well, I'd been doing cooking for a while, but nothing really all that formal. Like, Battle and Brew had a cookie competition. Yeah. Way back when that I got into my whole creative, competitive, I'm gonna win it, dang it. And...
make the best cookies.
Well, the first time I think I made, I was trying to put together a Willy Wonka-based cookie off that strip of gum.
Oh my gosh.
Do a pinwheel cookie, but the thing is,
oh my gosh.
I used the wrong base cookie recipe.
No!
And it baked out all of the flavors. It tasted like...
that's a bummer.
It tasted like a plain vanilla cookie.
Oh.
And I just threw out the rest of it and just started making my bourbon cayenne chocolate chip cookies with my cayenne chocolate chip cookies with bourbon caramel icing, and said it was Gambit's Raging Cajun cookies.
Oh my gosh, that is the greatest name for a cookie I've ever heard.
But I actually...
Gambit's Raging Cajun cookies.
However, I remade it for the blog. So they were sandwich cookies with bourbon caramel frosting on the inside.
Ooh.
And with you take those little card stencils, and I called them Gambit's Flaming Aces.
That's amazing. But, that's so cool that stuff like that has, an evolution as well.
Oh, yeah.
Of, you started with one thing. Of just, it wasn't even what you intended.
Nope.
But it turned into this... It turned into a thing.
I won best tasting that first competition, and then I decided, well, for XMen Month, because I work with a bunch of other nerdy food bloggers. There's quite a few of us, and we have a group called Fandom Foodies where we do monthly recipe link ups. It's been a while since I've participated, but one of us would host, and then we would just put together all of our the theme this month is X-Men, or the theme this month is Firefly, or whatever. And I think it was when we did Redwall themed recipes that came together. If you've ever read Brian Jacques' Redwall series, but
I don't think I have.
It's a fun series, kind of anthropomorphic mice, and we're not even full on anthropomorphic. We're talking mice that just happen to walk on their hind legs in kind of a medieval setting.
Interesting.
That share this abbey with this bunch of other woodland creatures that are all proportioned like the woodland creatures are. But they talk about these just ginormous feasts that they have at these.
All right.
Yeah. While they're being invaded by predators and all sorts of stuff. And
that sounds like a very interesting book series.
It's a fun series, and it's interesting. I read an article kind of analyzing the food that's described by Brian Jacques, authors like Brian Jacques and J.R. Tolkien and all these other authors during World War I.
Right.
And World War II. And a lot of it has to go down to rationing.
Yeah.
When you are living in a rationing world, you fantasize about the things that you could eat.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's kind of interesting understanding it from that standpoint.
Right.
And also why Edmund might, like give up his entire family for some Turkish delight, which tastes disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever forgiven Edmund for
I don't know.
for that?
I don't.
Because
Well,
Turkish delights are.
I guess Aslan might, but
Aslan definitely did.
And I mean,
but...
for a World War II, a kid growing up during World War II, at the time of rationing, sugar was rationed and everything.
Yeah.
Here is this exotic candy.
Yeah.
From the Middle East that you can only have like on special occasions.
Right.
An interesting thing, like, God, I have to reference another recipe I did for the only recipe I did for Consonaria. Mrs. Beaver's marmalade, sticky marmalade roll. I had to kind of take into account that, okay, in a world where it's always winter and never summer, where is she getting the marmalade?
Right. Absolutely.
So the marmalade is this prized thing in her cupboard. Like, they never bring the marmalade out.
Oh, man.
She is basically offering this giant, like, dessert that is filled with a substance that she's maybe only can get, like, once every few years and everything.
Yeah.
To these children as a thank you for coming and will you please save my world.
Right.
And
there's so much thought that goes into this. It makes my little nerdy and history loving heart so happy to like hear you be like, this is the stuff I think about when I do my recipes of like the history behind the stories and the books and like what was happening at that time, and theoretically and literally how would this have actually happened.
And yeah, I mean, I really encourage writers if they're going to include food in their books at all, make it so it makes sense within your culture.
Exactly.
But also, why is this particular character presenting this?
Right.
Like, if it's something that can't be easily found, then, I mean, that just adds another layer of character development as well.
Exactly.
So it's like, as you're reading, just kind of take note of some of the details with it. It just adds a whole nother layer of...
Everything is for a reason.
Yeah.
Or at least it should be. It could be. It should be.
Well, it's interesting. I have this book called What Kings Ate and Wizards Drank. And it's this book that explores... especially from a writer's standpoint, how to incorporate food into your books or even role-playing game campaigns.
Okay.
Because, I mean, we're going to have the party stop and have some deer, like they're going to hunt a deer and we're going to make some venison stew.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, about that.
Would you?
A deer, a deer will take all day to hunt, stalk and hunt.
Yeah.
Then you have to process the whole thing. So that takes another big chunk of time. And then it takes about 8 hours of stewing.
Yep. To
get that meat to be tender enough.
And your long rest is only 8 hours.
Exactly. And then you have all this leftover meat, as well as a campsite that smells of stew.
Yep.
So if you're running from orcs... Guess
or
what?
Any other predatory.
Yeah, they're gonna smell your stew.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you have to carry all of that stuff with you.
Yep, you have to carry a giant pot.
Yeah, what are you using? What are you cooking your venison stew in?
Yeah. And it talks about various various parts of medieval, especially European medieval culture and what they ate and what was available to them, especially seasonally. So yeah, it's very interesting to kind of explore that. But yeah, I had to kind of take that into account, especially dealing with my Dungeons and Dragons recipes for my weekly show Munchies and Minis on Twitch.
Munchies and Minis.
I make a tabletop-inspired snack and then work on painting a mini.
That's amazing.
I don't always have time to paint the mini, but yeah, I was doing this 52 weeks of D&D challenge, which... It was cool, but man, it drained me. Yeah. Because it was a fan art challenge. Oh. And there are words that don't always correspond to food. Right. Like shopping. And I'm just going, okay. Street food. Let's make this work. But, I mean, and that's not as bad as, like, say, like, injury.
Mm-hmm.
So for injury, that was when I had to make kind of a long rest too. Like, what would make sense traveling as an adventurer to pack with you, and also what can you get on the way
Right.
without spending any money.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I ended up making this like ham hock broth with lentils and mushrooms and basically stuff, and like rutabaga, because like rutabagas like root vegetables tend to last forever, and just one of them can feed you enough stew for like about a party of 6.
Right.
But yeah, like dried legumes, that's much easier to transport because
right.
they don't go bad. You can find fresh herbs in the wild, and you can find mushrooms in the wild.
Absolutely.
So as people are stitching up their wounds or making arrows, you can have other people foraging for stuff in the area and throwing it into the pot when,
absolutely,
as soon as the ham hock's out of it. So
yep.
So yeah, that kind of thought into that sort of thing.
There's so much depth, but it makes me so happy.
Thank you.
It's not just geeky and nerdy inspired foods. Like, there's a whole cultural history behind every single thing you make.
Yeah, I have to do a lot of research. And also...
But if you like that sort of thing, you don't mind it, you know?
It is going on a new sense of discovery, everything I work on.
That's really cool.
Thanks. Yeah, and I would love to try to incorporate some more other cultures too, and part of it too is I would like to see more stories based in different cultures, so I can explore and play a little bit, and try to be respectful as I can without, full on cultural appropriation or anything.
Right.
Yeah. So,
all right, so now we're getting to the other part of what makes this podcast fun. Mm-hmm. What are we drinking? So I have the things right here. So you're drinking this one.
Yes, I am drinking Dryad Tea's Nymph Tea Blend. The description for it is that apple and blueberry notes dance playfully through this delicious green tea, much like the nymphs would dance with the satyrs in the fields of the Fae. Will you dance with them? Well, I certainly am, and I can definitely get blueberry on this tea as I'm drinking it.
I could smell the blueberry when we open the package.
And that's what I'm getting mostly. And pairs nicely with some honey, just kind of mixed into it.
I typically don't drink something different. I typically try to drink the same, but this one just really called out to me. I am also drinking Dryad Tea, but mine is the Fairy Garden Tea. The description is, blended with the perfect Fae party in mind, this caffeine-free herbal blend is sure to get your toes tapping. It's great hot or iced. And it is spearmint, peppermint, lavender, heather, cornflower petals, and cinnamon.
It smells excellent, I can tell.
The spearmint alone was what drew me to it, and I didn't add anything to it, and it is excellent.
Yeah, Ruby, she's the owner of Dryad Tea. She is excellent with her tea blends, and an excellent person all around. I met her a couple years ago at TeslaCon when she was vending up there, but she now vends at Gen Con and Dragon Con.
That's awesome.
And she also does pottery and acrylic pours. So you could actually watch her working on her pottery and acrylic pours on her Twitch channel.
Like, I wanted to start incorporating some nerdy teas as well as nerdy coffees, because there's so many great creators out there.
Oh, yeah.
And not everyone drinks coffee.
Oh, yeah. And also, if you're a fan of the Dresden Files, she has a number of Dresden Files themed teas, which I've done reviews on, as well as made a baklava featuring her tea blend Temptress. So, yeah, you should check out my blog. There's a recipe for it on there. Get yourself some tea.
And what was her Twitch channel? Because I totally interrupted you before.
Dryad Tea.
Dryad Tea. Twitch.tv/Dryad Tea?
I believe so.
Something like that. I think most of the Twitch handles are twitch.tv.
Yeah, and I mean, she does giveaways on her channel all the time, too. So,
well, I'm hoping that she will be a lovely sponsor of this podcast. But even if she doesn't, we will happily drink her tea.
Yes.
Because it is very good.
It is delicious.
So let's rewind.
Okay.
A little bit. So, let's take it back to Cat as a kid.
Oh, God.
What did Cat as a kid think she would be doing with her life? Because, like, not, like, everyone wants to do what they love.
Yeah.
But, you know, not all of us think that you really can do pretty much what you love as a career if you want to. Or get the opportunity.
As a kid, I wanted to be a warrior princess.
I mean...
But then I wanted to play a warrior princess on TV, but, you know, I think the anxiety disorder really just made it very difficult for me to get into acting without just, like, not being able to take any criticism whatsoever.
Yeah, my thing was I got into acting because in high school, my first one-act play that I did set design. Fell in love with it. I was like, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I'm going to design sets. I'm going to help build them. Production designer. Here I am. Next year, I auditioned, got a role, fell in love with acting, and I haven't been able to leave it. Like, that is my heart's passion.
Oh, gosh. Then I wanted to be a pop star.
Of course. I think we all go through a... pop star phase.
Well, I mean, I could actually sing, but I don't know. Part of it, I think, was the whole being made fun of growing up. That it was the wanting to be famous and, you know, show them all. But then I wanted to be a writer because I started writing all these stories about warrior princess type stuff.
Did the writer part come hand in hand or influence the English major part?
It did, very much. I was looking at possibly... I don't know, working for a publisher as an editor or something.
Okay.
But I also graduated in 2008, right at the beginning of the recession.
Yeah.
So I was unemployed for about 2 years, and trying to get a job, especially in the creative fields at the time, was just near impossible.
Right.
But when it came down to it, I realized that I had a hard time taking criticism back then in my writing classes, and part of it was maturity, but when it really came down to it, I was just in love with stories. I want to be in stories. I want to create stories. I want to live in stories. And I didn't really start cooking so much until I had access to a previous boyfriend's kitchen. And it was mostly scavenger cooking, as the what do we have? Okay, let's cook this. And being unemployed, I would start looking at, like, Food Gawker and all those kind of food porn sites.
Right.
And, but I also noticed a lot of nerdy recipes would come out and just going, no, that's where's the actual thought on this? And, and I realize now that that's more my style. Like, it's not everyone's style. And,
no, but that's the thing is you have in your geeky cooking, you have your own style where you're like, how would this be realistically approached as well as, like, have that nerdy aspect to it.
Oh, yeah. But then I kind of discovered it was between the writing, the drawing, the being able to have the kind of artistic eye, and all the other creating, everything I've done before doing the food blog stuff, in culmination, was preparing me for it.
Right.
Between the reading and writing it, but also the cooking was... I became a resourceful cook, and then I was just looking up how to do stuff, and then I try it. I mean, it's I need to eat. Yeah. Let's try making something.
Absolutely.
And then I just wanted to, like, I have this weird ability where I'm able to picture flavors.
Ooh.
And taste them together in my head.
Okay.
It's weird.
I feel like that's totally a superpower.
It's I don't know if it's some kind of weird like synesthesia or something like that, but I'm able to imagine flavors. Like, if you combine this ingredient and this ingredient, this will be how it tastes together.
How accurate is that superpower?
I would say that...
Are you pretty close most of the time?
I'm close, and sometimes what I make is actually better because I still have to adjust things to make sure I get...
Right.
But even then when I get to, like, I have to basically then tinker with it until I get the flavor I want.
Right.
Like, where I taste and go, that's it. That's how it's supposed to taste.
Yep.
And it may not be exactly what's in my head, but it's enough to make me go, oh my gosh, that's delicious.
Right.
And sometimes, like I said, it's even better than what I pictured.
But it's good to have that in your head of like, okay, this is what it should taste like if I do this.
Yeah.
But then, like, you have that as a starting point, and then you reach that, oh man, this is better than I could have imagined.
Yeah.
When I thought of this at first. That's gotta be pretty satisfying. Just when you get it to that point.
Oh, definitely
like,
is.
Oh man.
But yeah, and I mean, it wasn't until I actually had my own kitchen that I was able to play a lot more.
Right.
And
I mean, your kitchen is pretty set up for literally anything you could throw at it.
Oh gosh, I remember when I first moved into this house, it was transitioning from an electric stove to a gas stove.
Oh my gosh!
I totally burned the salmon.
Oh no!
Because I'm so used to like slow heating like pans with electric stoves that.
But do you love the gas stove?
I freaking love it now. I can't go back.
Everyone is in love with the gas stoves. That if they use a gas stove, they love it.
Well, just now, I mean, now even I've gotten to the point where I use cast iron for everything.
Yeah.
Also, so I don't have to put it away. My 2 cast iron skillets live on top of my stovetop. Ready to go.
Wipe it out.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah. I don't have to put, like, my really old pans into the dishwasher anymore.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. And that's, that would basically take up all my cooking stuff. But no, I can just, like, heat it up and then wipe it out. There you go. But yeah, I mean, I'm still always learning things. Like, I still watch I've been watching the Good Eats Reloaded. Yeah. And going, guilty of doing that thing that Alton Brown says no to. Oh, crap. I feel like such an imposter.
But you're not an imposter. Everything I've had of yours so far has been amazing.
Well, thank you.
And I look forward to eating more of it.
Oh, yes. Well, I believe that we have some gingerbread that just came out of the
oven. Yes,
oven.
I was about to say, you made a, let me see if I got this right. It's a His Dark Materials inspired gingerbread. But the recipe is from 1910.
Yes. In the books, Ma Costa, she's part of the Egyptians, which is the His Dark Materials version of the Roma. She gives Lyra gingerbread. And so, yeah, I was trying to find gingerbread recipes from around that, like the world, Lyra's world is very 19-teen, like the teens England.
Right.
So
I love that era.
And granted, the recipe I found is an American 19-teens recipe, which, I mean, if I was doing English, it would use treacle, but treacle's such a pain in the ass to find. Yeah. Sorry for the swears.
Oh, no, you're fine.
But, but I used molasses, but I wanted to make the spices very Roma. Right. Which the Roma use a lot of pepper in their cooking. They use cumin quite a bit, and the Egyptians and His Dark Materials are often drinking Genevieve. Okay. Which I'm pretty sure is their word for gin. Because Genevieve is kind of the old-time way of saying juniper. Yeah. Juniper, which is in gin. Gin gets its name from the juniper. Right. That's in gin. Right. So I've got a mix of black peppercorn, juniper berry, ginger, and cumin. Ooh. In this, and I think it's gonna turn out really well. You put it in the oven when I got here, and right before we got ready to go, you took it out of the oven, and it smells amazing. Yeah, and the top of it just looked all glossy and beautiful. Yeah, so I'm... Like, not only did it smell good, but it was a gorgeous piece of gingerbread. So, we are going to go down and try some. Yes. But tell us where we can find you. Yes, you can find me at my website, thegluttinousgeek.com, or on pretty much all social media as The Gluttonous Geek, or on Twitter at gluttonous_geek. Hey. Yep. All the things. All the things. So, this has been super fun.
I'm
Thank
so
you.
glad that you let me sit down with you and talk about all the food and the history and all of the things that you do.
Well, thank you for inviting me. This was a lot of fun.
And our tea was delicious.
Yes, it was. Thank you so much, Ruby, at Dryad Tea, for making these delicious tea blends.
Yes.
Yes.
So, all right, we're going to go ahead and sign off, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.